arms around me, don't ever let me go. Hold me to you so I can see the light of day. You tell me that you love me in the words that Jesus spoke. I'm safe in your arms, safe in your arms till kingdom come. We are standing at the cross with our hands raised to our God. We sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah to our God. Praise you, Lord of heaven, I sing your holy name. I'm closer to you, so I can dwell within your heart. You were there before me, you rescued me from shame. You died on the cross, gave up your life and rose again. We are standing at the cross with our hands raised to our God.
Hello and welcome to another SDAQ&A. I'm your host, Peter Dixon, and this is our very special first ever SDAQ&A book club gathering. Can you believe the problems, Rachelle, just today, just starting? So many issues, Wi-Fi going off, power going off. We were still going live, I think, but they couldn't see you. Anyway, thank you for your patience, everybody, and welcome to today's show. And let's all welcome Rachelle Anonymous. How are you, Rachelle? Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me again. I'm excited to talk about books.
Me too. And I think book clubs are a popular notion and idea. So I want to tell everybody a little bit about how it's going to work today. And there was some comments about the music there too. I think you were saying your husband was headbanging. That's a song that is a very mellow song on my album Standing at the Cross, and the band and I had some fun in the studio once, and we just did a rocked up version of it, Jesus My Desire. And that's yesterday, and today is the first time I've ever played it where people might have listened. And I think I might release that one. It just needs some extra harmonies and an extra guitar, and might be a bit of fun to put it out there. And someone else asked who was singing on the second song. So that's a song that I wrote called Standing at the Cross. And the person singing on it his name is Justin Michael. And boy, his voice is incredible. So I'll re-release that one as well. That'll come up soon. I've pretty much taken everything down off the internet for now, but I'm going to be putting it all back up again with a new provider. So thanks for your comments there, everybody. And so just a bit of background on what we're doing today. Essentially, maybe once every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we're going to have a book club. As I said, this is number one today, our first one. And we're going to be focusing on one book per show, but we're also going to say, hey, these other ones, I've got a few here I'm going to hold up. Rachelle's got a few. We're going to be saying, hey, this is good. Check these ones out. Give you a few recommendations as well, but then focus on the one book. it won't be a long show, because what we are then going to do is invite all of you who want to be a part of the book club and actually hear the book being read. Rachelle's going to be reading today. I will put the Zoom link into the comments, and you can join our group and just listen to the book as it's read by Rachelle. And we'll read a chapter or two, and then we'll gather again together in a week or two, few weeks, and keep reading that book. And when we've finished that, then we'll focus on another book. So it's a way for everybody to get a chance to read some of these books that they hear us talking about, but don't have the opportunity, can't find them, all of that sort of thing. So I hope you enjoy it. And look, Rachelle, what say you get the ball rolling, hold up a few books that you recommend, but just before you do that, today's book is Whitewashed by Sydney Cleveland. I love it. And it was interesting, when I interviewed you a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned how influential it was for you, and I mentioned that that book and another one called The White Lie were very influential to me, and I read them around the same time.
I just have to share, I have a copy of each, and they're from two completely different publishers, but look at the color scheme. Don't we make a perfect set?
That is so interesting. Keep that up there for a second.
So now I associate anti-Ellen White books with
those colors. Wow. That is impressive. So look, hold up a few books. So this part of the program is just now a flurry of books, just saying this one's good, this one, maybe, and then we're going to get into Whitewashed.
Yep, we'll circle back to that one. So I wanted to start with one book. After I did my interview last week, I was scrolling through some of the comments later, and I saw one comment about somebody else's comments who I didn't see, but talking about the difference between disentangling and deconstructing. I guess somebody was off at me in the comments somewhere about I'm just deconstructing or whatever. I didn't see those, but I thought it was worth mentioning. I specifically don't use the word deconstructing because there's a difference, and I got that from this book, which is called Becoming Free Indeed by Ginger Duggar Wollo. I don't know if you are familiar with this family, but she is from the TV show that was on a couple years ago.
Yes.
Called 19 Kids and Counting. Her family is very famous in the evangelical sphere. But anyways, she's since left kind of that hyper religious environment she grew up in and has written this book. And I think she's coming out with another book too. But this was such a good book. It really outlines her process of disentangling, like the tagline says, my story of disentangling faith from fear. And she just so perfectly outlines how the difference between disentangling and deconstruction is that the purpose of deconstruction is to tear everything down and not build anything back up again. Whereas disentangling is taking the good out of the bad and then using the good parts to build something better. And anyways, so really great book. Just, I thought it was worth mentioning because of those comments that I was seeing about that. She's not Adventist. The book is not Adventist, but she's from a very similar kind of high demand evangelical background. So I found a lot of her story to be really relatable, and some of the stuff she was taught and has had to pick apart. But it works as a really great format for anyone going through the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's
so good that you got to unpack that, because people think that if you're deconstructing something that you're tearing it down and then it's not like that at all. You're just really clearing out the house, making sure the granny flat has been built properly, and tearing down a few things and building up a few things. I'm glad you've done that. So that's a book that you can recommend as well. What are some other ones that we can just do a quick
Sure.
show?
So this one's hefty, but I'm currently going through this one. This is
Oh,
the Oxford History of Christianity. I'll try to get it on camera there. The Oxford History of Christianity, which
and
I would like to recommend as a really good scholarly alternative to the Great Controversy, if you will. It really is a summary of how did we go from Jesus and 12 disciples to present day, over 200 denominations, like so many different schools of thought on theology and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, she's dense. But what I really love about it is if you flip, I have the hard copper. If you flip to the back, here's the names of, I believe it's 19 different contributors to this book. So each chapter is written by a different person who is an expert in that area of history. They're using like real sources, like it's so good. There's photos, there's maps, there's all sorts of really good stuff. It's put in,
I'm gonna get that. Yeah.
and it's not written, it's a very scholarly book. So I would say maybe one con of the book is there's different writing styles based on who's talking, and some of them are a little more easy to follow than others. But it's a very scholarly approach to Christian history. It's a really good summary. And it's not unlike, say, Great Controversy, which is very clearly biased towards wanting to promote Adventism as the right way.
Yeah.
This was written by so many people from so many backgrounds, and it's not promoting like, oh, Catholicism is true, or oh, this is true, or that is true. It's just an objective, like, what happened between point A and point B. So if you really weren't taught a lot of Christian history, like I wasn't growing up outside of the Great Controversy, I highly, highly recommend it. It's not from a particular denomination. It's written by 19 different scholars. They're using primary sources. It's fantastic. Very long. I'm only barely into chapter 6, so she's thick. That's where my my bookmark is. But it's a really good scholarly source for people wanting to dig into what is Christianity? How did we get here? And it's just fascinating how much, as you're reading, you can realize like, oh, well, this idea in my background traces all the way back to this. This is where this started. And anyway.
You've just hit me with something I hadn't thought of before. Like I was saying, I think on yesterday's program with Andy, which is an amazing program. I think your show from last week and Andy's yesterday dovetail together just beautifully and very powerful. Someone said that we might have been being flippant, but I assure everybody, no way. It was highlighting someone's very valid experience. And so thank you, Andy. Thank you, Rachelle. Those two shows are fantastic. But in that conversation, I realized that when I try and understand the gospel, it's for me, it's not actually through the lens of the Adventist filter anymore. I just have trouble understanding it and constructing it. And you showing me that book has made me think probably because I don't really get even the history of it. I've only had the Great Controversy history. So
it is hefty.
It is hefty
to read through, but it is really good. It is so precise. It really has opened my eyes from kind of the Adventist story that you grow up with, is that we're the Adventist church. We've always had the truth. There's always been this one group of special people throughout history from Jesus's time till now who have always done everything basically perfectly, and just that's untainted, and this is the way it's supposed to be.
And now we are resurrecting that.
Reading this has completely shattered that notion, because it talks about beyond just theology, all of the cultural stuff, historical stuff like wars and economic stuff that influenced religion as well. And it's just, it really makes you a lot more aware of the outside things that affect your theology beyond just whatever you read in the Bible.
Yeah.
But anyways, really great resource. Highly recommend it. They have it in a paperback version as well.
Oh, yes.
I like a good hardcover, so that's what I have. But yeah, that's a really good
Good.
scholarly one.
Well, I'm going to hold up a couple of books,
Yeah.
and I want to just first off, there's a former Adventist called John Borton. Let's see if I can. I'll just see if I can share the screen here. Now, I've interviewed him before, and can you see that there?
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
we can-
yeah, I've interviewed him on the show, and he's got this book called She Said, They Said, and it is a fantastic book. Now, I think he's got it on text, but he allowed me to put up online the audiobook version of his. And I just, there's two reasons I want to put this up today is can people, there goes those balloons. Can people please, I'm going to put the link in Facebook and the link in our YouTube chat. Can people just click that link for me and tell me if it actually plays? Now you can see there's three you can go to iTunes and buy it. You can go to Apple Music and listen to it stream for free. And there's a sample there as well for a little bit. So he allowed me to put that up, and any funds raised for it, he's allowing to go to SDAQ&A. But I've got an idea that the link to the iTunes to buy it doesn't work. So anyway, I'm just interested. I'm just going to post that just quickly now into the chat. If there are people there that don't mind just helping me a little bit, and go and click it, and just see. You might even be able to do it your end too, Rachelle, and just tell me what you see, and does the Apple Music work? Does the iTunes link work? If not, I'm going to put some time into getting it up there again through a different platform. But this book is so good. It's not very long, and I often put this. I listen to this book and Test the Prophet back to back. There's about 5 hours worth of Test the Prophet, maybe 1 or 2 hours listening to this, but it is such a good book. I really recommend people listen to that. The other one I wanted to just bring to people's attention today is this absolute classic. Now, I interviewed Ron Numbers before he passed away. We'd even chatted about having him back on the program a few months before he passed away, or maybe a year before. And sadly, we missed out. But this book, The Prophetess of Health, when I was trying to read this one, The White Lie, I couldn't continue reading it. It was just so disturbing for me. So I didn't do anything about it for maybe 5, 6, 7 years. Just kind of got on with life, was working as an Adventist teacher at a school. And in the early 90s, I discovered this book. My parents had it. And The Prophetess of Health is that kind of approach that you were mentioning there, where it's not trying, it doesn't really have that agenda. It's obviously written by a historian, and it's so well written, you can't put it down. If you can get the Kindle version of it, which I know it was available in the past, it has some extra chapters in there by his wife, and I just can't recommend this book highly enough. He reveals all the flaws with Ellen White, the plagiarism, the crazy health stuff, but he does it in a way that's just kind of matter of fact. So that's one I highly recommend. We're going to come to our book today in a minute that we're looking at, which is the Whitewashed. And Rachelle has found a free link to the actual publishers, which is Life Assurance Ministries, the former Adventist Fellowship. Dale Ratzlaff, who founded all of that, was a big mover and shaker in getting this material out there. So we're going to share that link as a free PDF so you can download it and join us in book club over there on Zoom very soon. I'll share that in a minute. I just wanted to share one more book of so many. We were we were laughing that you could just have a whole show of just 2 hours of just holding up books and recommending books.
My laptop is propped up on a whole
On-
stack. So there will be more for upcoming episodes.
So we'll probably, once we've finished Whitewash, we might go into Whiteout as our book of focus to read. This one's by Dirk Anderson, who I think is still going strong over there with Life Assurance Ministries. And I just wanted to read 2 quick things from here, and then we'll go over to Whitewashed. And so this is Ellen White talking about that solitary vice. I think we all know what she means, that self-abuse kind of thing. And it's totally, like so many of her science kind of health message material is absolutely been debunked, and much of it has been removed from public access. And this is just one of the crazy things. Now, this girl she writes about, that's in this book Whiteout, is a 2-year-old child suffering from epilepsy. And she goes on to describe this case, and the girl has paralysis, whose problems, Ellen White says, were so the author says, were supposedly brought on by solitary vice. She writes, by the most vigilant use of mechanical means for confining the hands, covering the genitals, etc., the child was at length cured. He now enjoys good health. And the author writes, if such measures were performed by healthcare providers today, they most likely would lose their license to practice and may even end up in jail for child abuse. And
For good reason.
What's that?
For good reason.
For a good reason, yes. And one last thing I'll read from this. Where is it gone? Today, most Adventists are completely unaware that the book Appeal to Mothers ever existed. One would expect that a prophet's first book on health reform would contain valuable insights from heaven for her followers, which she claimed did come from heaven, divine revelation. Whether you view her as a prophet, a lesser light, or just a messenger, she claimed divine revelation.
We'll get into that in chapter 1.
Perfect. That's why these 2 books dovetail together. I read them back to back interchangeably and absolutely loved both. The book was removed from publication many years ago, and like so many of her other writings and visions that were proven incorrect, this book simply disappeared from the public sight. Unlike fellow prophet Mary Baker Eddy, whose first book, Science and Health, published in 1875, sold over 10 million copies, Mrs. White's first health reform book was a dismal failure. Later efforts would prove more successful with the assistance of her staff, of course, of professional writers and editors. She was able to produce a much better health reform book that is still available today, entitled Ministry of Healing. Not surprisingly, the subject of self-abuse is never mentioned. Appeal to Mothers may have been the first book to disappear from publication, but it was not to be the last. So, yeah, there's a little bit of time we've spent on a bunch of other books, and I had even more, and I think you did too.
Oh, I have 3 more.
I get so excited about them. I can't stop talking about them. So we've used up our time on that. But we're going to now go over to this book here, Whitewash. Spend, a little bit of time looking at it And then the exciting new thing about book club is we will finish this show, but grab the link that I'm going to be posting soon, both on YouTube and Facebook, and come and join us. We're going to record it for future reference if people want to be able to listen to it, because this is a free link that we've got to the PDF. And we're going to read the book. So a proper book club where we go through the book. And those of you that have trouble accessing books, or, some of these books are so expensive online, you can enjoy with us this book. Okay, Whitewashed by Sydney Cleveland. Over to you, Rachelle.
Sounds good. Well, I'll just pop the cover up there again. Your cover is actually different than mine. But Whitewashed by Sydney Cleveland. Mine has a foreword by Dale Ratzlaff in it.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just going to highlight. So I'm sure most people have heard of The White Lie. I think it's more famous than Whitewashed. The White Lie only deals with plagiarism. So anyone who really wants to dive deep into that, read that one. I still need to. Actually, I was assigned to do a book report on this in high school, but I wasn't allowed to read the book. I was only allowed to read the back cover and the evidence rebuttal to the book.
The white truth.
In order to do the book report. So I need to redo my assignment and reread it. And anyways, but I know that's the topic of that one. This one touches on that, but it also touches on so many other issues with Ellen White and her accuracy and reliability, or lack thereof, I would say. And so I was just going to start by just summarizing the contents here of what all is in the book. So there's a really nice intro section on why the author wrote the book. So the first section, why I wrote this book. And then getting into chapter 1, who really wrote those books, deals with the inspiration behind Ellen White's words. It gets into the whole argument of, well, was she a prophet? Was she not? What does inspiration mean? Where does it come from? All of that kind of stuff. Was she inspired? That's what the first chapter is about, which we're going to read. Do they agree? The next chapter is talking about the claim that each one of these chapters basically attacks a different or explores a claim about Ellen White's writings. The second one, do they agree, looks at the claim that Ellen White never wrote anything that contradicted with the Bible. And I especially love that chapter because it just goes like verse Ellen, verse Ellen, verse Ellen through most of it. And it's just so blatantly clear that there's not real harmony there. The third chapter is Are You Saved? Which gets into Ellen White and her method of like how you're saved or not saved, and how much did Jesus actually do on the cross and that kind of stuff. Versus what Adventism says about what you need to do to be saved. The next one, Failed Prophecies. That's another just kind of a list of a prophecy. Like, here's the quote of where she said it. Did it come true? Here's what she said. Did it come true? Also a really good chapter. Ahead of Her Time? ? That one deals with all the medical stuff that you just mentioned, actually. Was she really that progressive in her medical views? Was she plagiarizing off someone else? Was some of her stuff just blatantly ridiculous? Then the chapter after that, what about those miracles? And that deals with the myth of like the holding the book over the head and the not breathing and the weird, creepy stories that they go around about what happened to her when she was in vision. After that, who was that young man? Which is a whole chapter dedicated to when she talks about, I forget the phrase that she uses, but like that handsome young man that kept coming to her and talking to her and inspiring her and telling her to write certain things. that she claims was like an angel or something. It's been a minute since I've read that chapter, so I don't remember specifically what she called him. But anyways, that's what that chapter is about. And then The Great Disappointment, talking about Ellen's involvement around that time. Obviously, don't need to say much about that. Anyone who's been an Adventist for 5 minutes knows what The Great Disappointment is. But I learned a lot of stuff about her early, like when she came on the scene that I didn't know before. And then I don't know if I know how to pronounce this word correctly. The next chapter is Cariite, I think, Jews.
Oh, yes. That's
October 22, 1844,
yeah,
talking
that's a
about
really good one.
the calendar discrepancies. That's also a really good chapter. Caution, handle with care. Is that the last one? Oh no, it's not. It's the second to last chapter. Caution, handle with care. That one is dealing with stuff about how do I summarize this? Stuff about how it's kind of hard to pin down exactly how to explain that one. So I'll just leave that one. We'll come back to it. But it has to do more with being a false prophet or not. And a word to aspiring prophets. And then they've also is the last chapter. And then they've got this really great, it's kind of hard to show it on the scene, but they've got a whole bunch of different appendixes with photos and information and cross-referencing material, all that kind of stuff. And I actually wanted to go back. The very first picture in the book, which the free link on the website that we're sending, unfortunately, does not have the pictures. So when we read, I'll stop and hold up when there's a picture. Sure. But here's the first picture in the book is an illustration of Ellen White standing next to the stack of all of the books that she wrote in her lifetime, compared to the Bible on her other side, if you see that down there. Yeah. just for comparison of how much material did she actually create. And the paragraph underneath says, the books Ellen White produced during the 75 years of her ministry would exceed her own height if stacked one on top of the other. Compare this stack to the 2-inch thick Bible, which contains the divinely inspired writings of some 50 writers spanning nearly 1,500 years. Is it logical to believe God would give so little divinely inspired information to 1 billion Christians living during the past 2 millenniums, and so much to just 10 million members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which has only existed for 137 years? I think the dates are different now. My book was published in 2000, so I'm sure the numbers are down. But still, it's a very striking visual to open the book with, of how much of this do you really need in order to point you to this? Like, just food for thought. Yeah. And I wanted to read there's in this intro, I just wanted to read the first paragraph called Why You Should Read This Book. So actually it's just 2 little short paragraphs. If you are not a Seventh-day Adventist, this book will help you understand the stranglehold Ellen White has upon the Seventh-day Adventist denomination. The information you will receive from this book will enable you to be a powerful witness for God as you expose the myths of Ellen White. On the other hand, if you are a Seventh-day Adventist, this book will help you realize you experience life from a different perspective from mainstream Christianity. You are a member of the remnant church. You may intellectually admit some people in other churches will be saved, but you call them Babylon. There is a grand canyon between you and the rest of Christianity, deliberately created by Ellen G. White. This book will help you evaluate the legitimacy of your separation from God's other people and the theology which created it.
Yeah, wow. Boom.
Yeah,
Mic
really
drop.
good.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this is the first book we're going to be reading.
It's a really good overview
Yeah.
of the issues with Ellen White and the different arguments for and against her. It's
Yeah.
really great.
So what we're going to do now, like the book club show is always going to be 30, 40 minutes. And we look at, as you've seen today, an overview of the book that is our main book. But the exciting new thing is that in a minute, I'm going to share with you guys in the links a Zoom link that I'd love you to click. And in about probably 5-10 minutes after the show has finished, go and click that link, join us, and Rachelle is going to read the book. And not the whole book today, but we're going to read a chapter or two.
I'll read the intro and the first chapter and see how that goes.
And I'm pretty sure that it's been offered as a free download. I will double check with former Adventist Fellowship. I'll write to them because what I would like is if later on, if people have missed hearing it, we might be able to send them the link to the Zoom. I'll save it. Remind me to save it.
Sure.
So
all chapters are posted as free on their website, along with a lot of other of their books that they've published as well.
Yes,
too.
exactly. So I'm gonna put. Sorry, go ahead, Rachelle. I cut you off.
No, I just said they're a great resource.
Yes, yeah. So I'm going to put right now. This is not the Zoom link. This is the link to the whitewashed book. You can read it at your leisure. You can read it along with us. Whatever works for you. So that is in the link. You can click that, and you can have that ready to download when we have our Zoom program in a few minutes' time. So I'm very excited. So I just want to read a couple of comments that have just come through that I think are pertinent. There's been a lot of stimulation and conversation just from the things we've read here. Who was it? Someone, boy, coming through thick and fast. Where did it go? Fisherman's Corner, got your message. This week and next week are full with interviews, but as soon as that's done, I will be checking it with you. Oh, John Kaler, I wanted to bring this up. I'm not sure who you were referring to, but I want to do a whole show on this. So if people have got information about it, please send it to me or somehow get it to me or someone else, whatever. There was this committee put together, commissioned by the church, to work out how they can improve the investigative judgment sanctuary doctrine by the Bible alone. And they couldn't. And they had to dissolve it. And the minutes were never kept. Now, I'm pretty sure Des Ford was on it. It's either late 60s, early mid-70s. If people have details and info on that, please let me know because I want to do a whole show on it. Chris Lucas writes about the Karaite Jew stuff and how it just destroys the whole idea. I ran this past someone the other day having lunch, and they said yes, that did challenge their faith because it pretty much confirms that October 22 was never a date that they could have used. But here's how they answered it. They said, well, it's roughly around that time. So the Adventist apologists now, if you pin them down even on that being a false date, but the judgment began roughly, give or take a few months, they said. So I thought, really? Okay. So look, thank you so much for this conversation. Even as a program on its own, people can watch it and enjoy it. But we are now about to go across to Zoom. I'm just going to put that in the links. Maybe even Rachelle, if you could even just click it, I think it'll come through with a lot of numbers on it. But if you just click,
it's loading. There we go.
If you just click and I've put it through to Facebook as well. Just click it and I'll just double check you come up into.
Yeah. Should I open it in new tab? Let's see here.
And yeah, but thank you everyone for watching today. And we're going over to Zoom in about 5 or 10 minutes, so don't be too long. Come and join us, and we're gonna read. So yeah, you might go into the waiting room perhaps there.
If you don't mind me just sharing one last little quote before
for sure.
It's not from the book, but it's more of an appeal to any Adventists or questioning Adventists out there who are maybe a little scared to hear this book or read this book, or even angry that we're looking at this book. There's a couple different versions of this quote floating around out there, and I'm not sure who it comes from, but the idea is the truth does not fear investigation. Truth has the strength to withstand scrutiny. Truth that cannot be scrutinized is not truth. The other version that I've heard is truth will withstand scrutiny, but a lie, no matter how skillfully crafted, will wilt and wither under the intense heat of inspection. So if you're feeling some type of way about not wanting to read this book, or angry that we're reading this book, I would really caution you to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Why does that make you so angry? If you have nothing to hide, you've got nothing to lose hearing this book or reading this book. And I mean, we're all truth seekers here. We're not out here with an agenda. If the truth led to Ellen White, that's where we would be. I strongly believe that it's not. But for those who do, even just give it a chance. Listen, and you'll at least know the arguments that some of us have against her. You'll at least be aware of them and know where we're coming from and be able to understand us better, even if you don't agree with us.
And even if it reinforces your beliefs that you want to be an Adventist and stay an Adventist, you might be able to refute these claims and reinforce your position.
I don't think they will be able to refute them, but you'll at least be more informed. I think there's something to be said, no matter what side of this kind of or any denomination you're a part of. I think it's very important to be a part of that, having informed consent of knowing these kinds of things, of knowing, like, this is the person that the church is upholding. Are they trustworthy or not? Can I put my name to this or not? It's anyways, just a couple words of encouragement. Even if you are Adventist, please come join us. Come listen. And if you don't want to, or you're not ready, that's fine as well. Just a little nugget of thought, though, of if you're hesitating, where is that hesitation coming from? And just to be self-aware about that. Anyways, I'll check to see if that link has pulled up for me.
Thank you for that, Rachelle. I think that's a really important invite to people to say that.
Thank you.
You know, there's nothing wrong with putting a spotlight on truth, particularly massive truth claims. And Adventism is a very big truth claim. So let's just see, just before we farewell and log off, I'm pretty sure the link works there. Let's just see. Can you just click it and just see if I can see you in the waiting room?
Let's see.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people already there. That's good. Okay.
I think I need to wait to hit join until my video is done with this.
Yes. I'll. But it's obviously working. There's a bunch of people in there. So everyone, come and join us over at Zoom right now. The link is in the Facebook there. The link is in YouTube. Maybe for you, it will only show up when the show has ended. But go and check it out. And yes, Rachelle is holding up the book that we've been looking at today, and that we will be reading right now, not the whole book, a chapter or two. And that's why we want the shows, whenever we do book club, to be a bit shorter, so we can spend the rest of the time we would normally have spent actually reading. And look, I'm sure I can streamline things a bit more, but this has been our first one. Thank you, Rachelle. And
Are we going to jump straight to the other one, or
Yeah,
do
we'll
like
just have a little 10-minute break because I've got to save this file and
grab some snacks?
grab some snacks.
Go
Yes.
to Haystack and
Uh,
come listen.
come and listen. There's already a good bunch of people there. So thank you, everyone. And we'll sign off for now, but we will be there in about 10 minutes' time. See you soon.